Thousands of years went by. And God gave his son, Jesus, to the world. And he lived among us. He was a man, a human, like we. And he taught, and he healed, and he listened. And then he was killed. In Jerusalem. And then he rose again from the dead on Easter. And he had his original 12, his disciples, who believed in him and were worried now that he was gone, because he had promised them that he would never leave them. So they waited. There was Thomas and Philip, John and James, the young James, and the older James, and Matthew, Simon Peter, and Andrew, Luke, Simon, Bartholomew. 11 disciples now, because Judas, the disciple who betrayed Jesus, had died. And while they were in Jerusalem, Jesus came to them and led them to Mount Olivet, or the Mount of Olives. And he was among them again. And he reminded them that he would always be with them. And as he spoke with them, he ascended into heaven. And they could no longer see him. And they waited. And they returned to Jerusalem, to the upper room, the last place they had a meal with Jesus before he was betrayed and went on trial and was crucified. And with God's guidance, they had Matthias join them to be a disciple, the 12th disciple. And suddenly, while they were waiting there was a great wind, a rush of wind. And there was fire that seemed to come from nowhere that filled the room. And their tongues burned. The Holy Spirit. And then the wind and the fire and the burning in their tongues stopped. But the people saw, and the disciples knew that something great had just happened. They went out into the city of Jerusalem, where there were people from all over the world, speaking different languages. Come to the city of Jerusalem for a big feast and a gathering. And no matter where they were from or what language they spoke, the disciples spoke it. They were able to speak to everyone there. This was the power of the Holy Spirit, that they could speak to anyone, to explain and to tell them the story of Jesus Christ. This happened 50 days after Easter. And now the 12 disciples were the 12 apostles. Now I wonder what part of the story you like the best. And I wonder what the most important part is. And I wonder if any of you have been able to talk to someone that didn't speak your own language. And I wonder how they knew it was the Holy Spirit. And I wonder if you feel like the Holy Spirit is with you and what that feels like. And I wonder how the story of the Tower of Babel connects to the story of Pentecost. There's plenty to wonder about. Good luck.